Have you ever looked around your home and wondered, how did I end up with so much stuff? Maybe you open a drawer and find birthday cards from the 80s, or walk into a room filled with furniture that hasn't been touched in years. It's a quiet question that starts to whisper a little louder as we grow older. Do I really need all of this anymore? It's not just about space, it's about freedom. At 60 or beyond, we start valuing peace of mind more than pieces of furniture. We crave clarity over clutter and meaning over maintenance. That's why today I want to talk to you, not about giving things up, but about letting go of what no longer serves you, so you can make space for what truly matters. Now, I know the word downsizing can feel like a loss, like we're shrinking our lives, but the truth is, it can actually be the opposite. Downsizing isn't about having less, it's about making room for more ease, more time, more connection, and more of what brings you joy. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the weight of what you own, this might just be the fresh start you didn't even know you were waiting for. Let's talk about 5 things that once you let them go, you're unlikely to ever miss. And you might just wonder why you didn't do it sooner. The first, letting go of clothes that no longer fit your life or your body. Now, we all have that section in the closet. The jeans from 20 years ago that haven't zipped since the Clinton administration. The dress we wore to a wedding in 1994. Or 10 nearly identical sweaters in shades of beige. But here's the question. When was the last time you actually wore them? The clothes we hold on to often carry memories, and that's beautiful. But holding on to an old blouse doesn't bring back youth, and it doesn't make us feel better about aging. In fact, it can quietly chip away at our confidence. Every time we pass those outfits that no longer serve us, we're reminded of what no longer fits, rather than celebrating the comfort and wisdom we've gained. Instead, imagine opening your closet and seeing only clothes that make you feel comfortable, confident, and like yourself. Nothing too tight, too scratchy, or too, when I lose 5 pounds. Just soft, simple pieces that work for the life you live today. Letting go of clothes that no longer suit you isn't just a closet cleanse. It's an emotional one, too. You'll never regret donating that skirt you haven't worn in a decade, especially when it makes room for something that fits both your body and your spirit as it is right now. And once that closet feels lighter, something magical happens. You begin to feel lighter, too. Now let's move to the second thing. Kitchen gadgets and dishes that serve memories more than meals. You know the ones I'm talking about. That fondue set you used once in 1982. The blender that's been broken longer than it's been working. Or 10 mismatched mugs with faded logos and chips around the rim. If your cupboards feel like they've been playing Tetris for the last 20 years, it might be time to let a few things go. Because here's the thing, we're not cooking for a family of 6 anymore. We're not hosting dinner parties every Saturday. And even if we are, we probably reach for the same 2 pans and 4 plates anyway. Why keep 10 casserole dishes when we only use 1? Why hold on to 8 wine glasses if we stop drinking wine? Clearing out the kitchen isn't just about space, it's about reclaiming ease. It's about opening a drawer and finding what you need without a pile crashing down on your toes. It's about letting the kitchen work for you, not the other way around. You'll be amazed at how freeing it feels to open a cabinet and see space, not stuff. To be able to grab a bowl without rearranging an entire shelf. And maybe, just maybe, letting go of that pasta maker from 1997 will remind you that joy doesn't come from the gadgets we have. It comes from the moments we make. And speaking of moments, the third thing we often carry and almost never regret letting go is duplicate items that seem necessary, but now just sit collecting dust. 2 vacuums, 3 hairdryers, 4 sets of towels, even though we only ever use the fluffy ones. It all adds up, and somewhere along the way, we told ourselves, just in case. But what if just in case never comes? What if holding on to things for someday is actually weighing down our today? There's something incredibly empowering about choosing what stays in your home. Not out of guilt, not out of habit, but out of intention. Because when you own less, you don't just free up space on the shelf, you free up space in your mind. So if you find two of the same thing and you always reach for your favorite, donate the other. Let it find a new home where it's needed. You'll never regret having fewer items to dust, store, or worry about. But you might just wonder how you lived with so much for so long. And that feeling, that little sense of breathing room. There's something deeply comforting about living with less, but only when what remains is truly meaningful. As we continue this gentle journey of letting go, the next area we often don't realize is weighing us down is paper. That's right, old paperwork, manuals, and documents we no longer need. You may have drawers or even boxes full of it. Bank statements from 2003, appliance manuals for machines you haven't owned in years, expired warranties, birthday cards from people whose faces you can barely recall, and of course those yellowed stacks of bills, receipts, and tax returns that feel too important to toss, but also too exhausting to sort through. And I understand. Paper has a way of tricking us into thinking it carries permanent importance. But the truth is, most of it doesn't. And what's worse, it silently adds stress to our space. Every time we open that drawer or glance at that pile, we feel a subtle burden, a whisper in our minds that says, "You still need to deal with this." Well, maybe now's the time to say gently but firmly, "No, I don't." Start small. Pick one drawer or one file. Keep what's truly necessary, like legal documents, medical records, or your will. The rest, shred it, recycle it, let it go. You don't need a drawer full of chaos. You need peace. A folder that's easy to find when you actually need something. And guess what? You'll never regret tossing that faded receipt from 2009 or that cable bill from 3 homes ago. And once the paper is gone, you'll likely feel something unexpected, relief. Not just because there's more physical space, but because you've removed one more hidden source of mental clutter. That's the power of intentional living. Now, while paper may have crept in over the years, there's something else we often cling to that deserves an honest conversation, and that's emotional clutter disguised as sentimental items. This one is tender, I know. We all have boxes of memories, children's art projects, souvenirs from trips long past, china sets passed down from aunts and mothers, never used but too precious to give away, trinkets from the mantle, figurines that used to mean something, but now gather more dust than joy. It's okay to feel attached, but it's also okay to let go. Because here's something we often forget. Memories don't live in objects. They live in us, in our hearts, in our stories, in the way we speak about the people we've loved and the places we've been. You don't need a dozen things to remind you of one beautiful moment. You only need one, or sometimes none. Try this. Hold something sentimental in your hands. Ask yourself, does this still bring me joy, or is it holding space out of guilt? If it's the latter, consider taking a photo of it before you let it go. That way you can still remember it without needing to store it. Another way to honor sentimental items is to pass them on now. Give your daughter that tea set she always admired. Offer your grandson the chessboard he loved playing on. When we pass things down with intention, we turn possessions into gifts. And those gifts can carry more meaning than anything left forgotten in a storage box. There's a quiet dignity in choosing what stories we keep and which ones we release. And by doing that, we aren't erasing our past. We're honoring it, then making room for a present that feels lighter and freer. But all of this, decluttering clothes, kitchens, papers, and memories, points to something even deeper, something we rarely say aloud, but many of us feel. And that's the desire to reclaim control, to make our own choices before someone else has to make them for us. Because let's be honest, downsizing isn't just about simplicity, it's about agency, about taking the reins while we still can, rather than leaving a mountain of stuff for our children to sort through later. That's one of the kindest gifts we can offer, not just to ourselves, but to our families. Fewer things to deal with, fewer questions about what we would have wanted, less burden in a moment when what they'll need most is clarity and peace. And here's something else. You deserve that peace too. You've earned it. A home that reflects who you are now, not who you were 30 years ago. A space that supports your next chapter, not one that's weighed down by the last 5. You might be surprised how empowering it feels to look around and see only what you use, love, or need. Every drawer becomes easier to open, every room feels more spacious, and every day feels just a little bit lighter. This isn't about perfection, it's about permission. Permission to move forward, to let go, and to embrace a life where you are surrounded by only what brings you comfort, function, and joy. So as you continue on this path, take a breath. Feel the space that's opening up, not just around you, but within you. That's not emptiness, it's freedom. Sometimes what we hold on to the tightest isn't physical at all. It's what lingers quietly in the background of our thoughts. Responsibilities, routines, and even relationships that no longer align with who we are. That brings us to one of the most transformative things you'll never regret letting go after 60. Obligations that no longer serve you. For decades, many of us have lived our lives by expectations. We said yes out of habit. We showed up because we felt we had to. We kept going even when it wore us down. Whether it was committees, volunteering, family routines, or weekly obligations that left us drained, we kept doing them because that's what we've always done. But this chapter of life, it's different, and it comes with something precious. Choice. You don't have to attend every gathering. You don't have to keep up with every group, every commitment, every expectation someone else placed on your shoulders. You can simply and respectfully say no. And it doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you're wise. Letting go of these shoulds doesn't mean you're abandoning your responsibilities. It means you're honoring your energy, your values, and your peace. Maybe you no longer want to bake for the church bazaar. Maybe that weekly bridge game now feels like a chore. Maybe you just want to stay home on Sunday and read a book with a cup of tea. That's okay. In fact, that's beautiful. This kind of downsizing, the emotional kind, is deeply powerful. It's about releasing the weight of obligation and stepping into the lightness of intention. It's about choosing what nourishes your spirit, not what drains it. And once you begin, you might realize just how much of your life has been shaped around other people's needs. This is your time now. Time to rest, to enjoy, to say, this is what I need, and to honor that without guilt. Because when you let go of what no longer fits, not just in your home, but in your life, you create space for what does. You may rediscover passions, enjoy deeper relationships, or even notice how much more energy you have when you're no longer overcommitted. But all of this, clearing out the clutter, releasing the weight of memories, letting go of outdated obligations, it leads to one final thing, and it's perhaps the most important of all. The belief that your life does not need to be defined by your past. You are not your possessions. You are not your home or your job title from 20 years ago, or the furniture you've held onto since the kids were small. You are still becoming, still unfolding, still able to reinvent and rediscover yourself. We often think of downsizing as an ending, a sign of winding down, but what if it's not? What if it's the beginning of something new? What if, by letting go, we're actually making room, not just in our closets or cupboards or calendars, but in our hearts? Downsizing isn't just about less stuff. It's about more life. It's about stepping into each day with a little less weight and a little more clarity. It's waking up in a home that reflects who you are today, not who you were decades ago. It's knowing where everything is and needing less to feel full. And above all, it's about reclaiming time. Time to do what matters. Time to rest. Time to reconnect with others, with nature, with yourself. So if you've been hesitant to begin, take heart. You're not too late. You're not behind. You don't need to do it all in a day. Start with a drawer, a shelf, a decision, and trust that every small release leads to something far bigger. Freedom. You won't regret letting go of the jeans that no longer fit, or the broken blender, or the paper pile that gave you a headache. You won't miss the duplicates, the dusty souvenirs, or the schedule packed with things you no longer enjoy. What you will notice is a sense of lightness, a shift in the air around you, a little more room to breathe, and maybe, just maybe, a little spark of joy. Because that's what this journey is really about. Not just simplifying, but liberating. Not just clearing out, but clearing a path. For peace, for joy, for whatever comes next. And you deserve that. You always have. So if any part of this message spoke to you today, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you started downsizing? Is there something you let go of that brought you unexpected peace? Leave a comment and let's share this journey together. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more heartfelt content like this. There's so much more to explore, and I'd be honored to walk with you through it. Here's to living more lightly, more freely, and more joyfully at every age. You're not downsizing your life. You're just making space for it to bloom in a whole new way.